Hey there, guys. What's going on? This is your local realtor, Mike Rivera. Da da da. I'm just kidding. I'm not really good at doing these damn videos, but this NAR settlement thing is getting on my nerves. And if you know me, I've been passionate about real estate for a long time. And so I thought, maybe I should make a video. Just something loose, nothing fancy. I'm not that kind of fancy person, so to speak. I'm like Marco Rubio taking a drink in the middle of my speech. But that's who I am, right? So anyway, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the NAR settlement. And I thought, what the heck? Let me, I'm seeing a lot of this on social media. And I thought, maybe I should make a quick video and sort of break this down, right? And so I thought that's what I should do today. So, I want to break down these rules and explain how some of these can affect you guys as a seller and as a buyer. So let me ask you this, if you're a seller or a buyer, have you ever found yourself in a real estate transaction where you thought that the odds were kind of against you? Where maybe you didn't have a buyer's representative, a buyer's agent. That's like an attorney. I got to tell you guys, would you go to the side that's suing you and go to their attorney? Would you do that? Because if you do, potentially you're setting yourself up for a really bad situation. Let me give you some examples. How many of you have, without a buyer's agent, have approached to a seller's agent and then ask them things like, hey, can you provide me values or comps in this neighborhood? Crickets. You hear nothing. What about, hey, what do you think what is the seller's bottom line here on this price, right? Now, a buyer's agent really can't give you that either, but the buyer's agent can ask questions to sort of peel back the onion or the layers to get an idea as to the motivation factor of this seller. The seller's agent will never give you any motivating factors. I mean, I'm a listing agent. I don't give those things. I really can't give those things, right? Unless the seller's telling me they're motivated because they're moving, they're doing this, they're doing that. That's a different story. However, in particularly in high-end homes or other situations or investors, that's not something that they're willing to give up or even want their agent to give up. That's why a listing agent is the seller's agent. It's just common sense. It's not it's not rocket science here. So, how about this one? And I know people have gone to this. You as a buyer, you're asking the seller's agent, hey, I'd like to have the most recent inspection report, any documentation that you might have, insurance documents, this document, that document, so on and so on, right? And you made the request for documents and items, and only to find out weeks later, the listing agent took a contract from another buyer. How does that make you feel? Basically, placing your needs last. And a lot of times, if we're going to be honest, and a lot of times putting the seller's interest and the seller's agent interest first. Dual commission, dual agency, even though they say it's illegal, it happens. Illegal or not, right? Transaction brokerage in other states is called dual agency. At any rate, basically you lose control, right? You lose control, and that deal was never in your favor. So these things do happen, right? So anyway, with that being said, we're now in an environment under the NAR settlements where these situations are going to probably come up, right? Let's talk about why these new NAR settlement rules are, why they're so important, and who the winners are and who the losers are, because there are winners and losers here. This suit was in favor of sellers, right? We know this. That was the whole purpose. Do sellers have greed? Do corporations have greed? So if we're going to be intellectually honest, let's be honest. All right. So let's dive into the new changes that have been made for the NAR settlement rules. These changes, they do aim to bring lower costs to sellers. That's the whole purpose of the suit. The other portion of this was to basically save the National Association of Realtors' ass, right? Overall settlement. That's the whole purpose of settlements. The initial or the prior arrangement, the way it worked well for a reason, for equality, for equilibrium, equanimity, whatever you want to call it. That was the whole purpose of it within the body or the price of the transaction. That's not going to happen no more. The other thing that the NAR settlement requires, of course, now is better disclosures, right? We have to disclose to buyers, look, you have a buyer's agent and you might be responsible for his payment. That's what this is about. Relieving the seller from having to give up a portion of your money, the buyer's money, right? If you're a buyer and you get a loan, right, 100% of the transaction, you have to put 20% down, right? Out of that 100%, you're paying the buyer's agent, you're paying the seller's agent, you're paying the seller's equity, you're paying off the seller's loan. All of that coming out of your loan and your down payment. That's not going to happen no more. So change one. At this point, now there is a prohibition of offers of compensation on the MLS, the multiple listing service, in which sellers do not have to offer compensation, which means that a seller can sign a listing agreement with me for 2% and offer 0 to a buyer's agent. A buyer's agent's not going to know that, and you as the buyer will not know that. In their lack of transparency is the problem, because you're going to like a house and you're going to be like, okay, I'm willing to pay $200,000 for this house, only to find out later on, after you sign the required buyer's broker agreement that's now required before even showing a property, that you might be on the hook for another 2 or 3%. That's the problem here with this new settlement, and no transparency. Really, there's no transparency here, right? That's the problem. No transparency. So this is a significant change in which there's a prohibition of offers of compensation on the MLS to buyer's agents. This means that once the change goes into effect on August 17th, consumers will have the option to pursue offers of compensation off the MLS through negotiation only or in consultation with your buyer's agent, your real estate professional. You're going to need them now more than ever, because there's a lot of pitfalls here, right? I mean, look, there's a lot of pitfalls here, unknowns here, left, right, on top of the appraisal, the inspection, zoning rules, the need for vendors, the right people, the right mortgage broker. I mean, there's a lot going on in a transaction, right? Transaction engineering is what we call it, because literally there's 100 things going on at once. And so because of that, you now have another 5 items to add to that 100 things that's going on. And so you will need a buyer's agent now even more, because what the seller is willing or not willing to pay is now really hidden from you and your agent, right? So the situation is that basically any compensation to your buyer's agent will have to be negotiated. In other words, when you make an offer, you're going to have to write in there that, look, Mr. Seller, I'm funding all of this transaction. I'm paying you $200,000. 180 of it comes from my lender. 20,000 of it or 40,000 of it comes from me. Out of that 40,000 or 200,000, I'm requesting or demanding that 3% goes to my buyer's agent, 3% goes to your seller's agent, and you get to keep the remaining proceeds out of this transaction. Does that make sense? This will allow for some flexibility. It is more red tape. It is more paperwork. There are going to be longer times here, I believe. And so basically, if you manage that correctly, you'll be able to go ahead and sort of control your closing costs, right? That'll be something that will happen. Now let's be honest, if a seller is greedy and wishes not to allow a portion of your own money to go to your agent, you will pay out another 2-3% out of liquidity that you won't be able to roll that in the cost of the loan. Like before this settlement, all these costs were rolled into the loan and the amount of money that you shelled out for the down payment, right? That was part of the transaction. Now you might be paying outside of that, right? What could that be? 3% for your buyer's agent, 2.5%. I'm a guy who charges a little bit less. I do deal flow. I'm a very active broker. Appraisal fees, right? That's paid out of closing. POC, paid out of closing. Legal fees, your inspection, and other things that you might need. So really, now more than ever, you as a buyer in particularly are going to need a very aggressive buyer's agent like myself or many others that are good. It will be needed for all buyers. And this is the new Wild West of real estate. For sellers, the good news is you get to control some of the costs. But let's be honest. No deal sells, no matter what it is. Car sales, buyer incentives. NAR, DR Horton, Pulte. Every home builder offers buyer's agents and seller's concessions to the buyer. Why? Because typically it brings in higher costs and more deal flow, right? I forget the word right now. I can't think of it. But basically, the amount of deal flow, right? The amount of volume. That's the word I was looking for. Sorry. Volume. It brings in more volume. And any business cannot be a good business if you don't have volume. So you don't have to look at real estate to understand how compensation or incentives, human incentives for capital work, right? Buyer's agents, seller's concessions, whatever the case may be. And most buyers will not qualify, above the amount they've been approved for. So there are limitations in transactions, and wise sellers will already know that really business should be done the way it was before. If that's what you're looking to do. Now, some sellers will do whatever they do anyway. That's why many sellers do for sale by owner, right? They don't sell, or they sell for a lot less money and they get these vulture investors that offer them cash. That's cool. Your $400,000 home, an investor, you didn't pay real estate fees, but the investor offered you $300 or $300,000, $100,000 less, and you paid buyer premium fees, right? What are buyer premium fees? Well, that's like broker agent fees. I don't know. So there's that. All right, change 2. The elimination of broker compensation fields in the MLS. So kind of going back to the same thing, another important change is that the MLS is now required to eliminate all broker compensation fields within the MLS and any compensation information anywhere on the MLS. So we have strict fines now, $1,000 per fine, no warnings, maybe losing your license or other things that can happen. So this settlement with these lawyers is no joke. They actually have settlement police that will be looking over transactions and whether or not agents like me are giving buyers the disclosure and the buyer's agent agreement before even looking at a house. This is important, guys. Compensation disclosure to sellers, prospective sellers, and buyers. All MLS participants, which means real estate brokers and agents like myself, are required to provide compensation disclosures and the fee agreements. One of the things is that agents will be able to sign an agreement directly with the seller now. So a lot of us will submit, when we submit contracts, we'll be submitting a commission agreement direct to the seller. It's not to the listing agent anymore, per se, unless the listing agent has worked it out. For the sake of making the transaction smoother, I would imagine a lot of listing brokers will use the same listing agreement, offering compensation or cooperating fee agreements. It might be worded a little bit differently, but it'll probably be the same, I would imagine. If not, there'll be extra paperwork and the seller will probably be hit up and submitted with a commission agreement from the buyer's agent. Any buyer who doesn't ask their buyer's agent to do that would be a fool. So again, you have to understand this settlement. You have to have a broker that understands the settlement, knows how to negotiate in and out of these things, and is comfortable with doing it. One thing I can tell you is that as a commercial real estate broker, we've been doing this for years. This is nothing new for a commercial practitioner like myself, because in commercial real estate, there is no offers of compensation. So this is not new to me. I've been doing this for 15 years as a commercial broker forever, whether it's leases, sales, land sales, development. For a broker like me, this is really nothing new, but for a lot of agents who strictly are in the residential realm, they're going to have a problem. And I'm sure a lot of them are freaking out. I just saw a mortgage broker friend of mine, Matt Sochi from Premier Mortgage, talk about this, that he saw on a lot of the blogs or whatever. A lot of agents are freaking out right now. This is literally around the corner. Tomorrow's August 1st. The commission agreement to be paid will disappear August 1st, FYI. So that's why a lot of agents are freaking out. I'm not. I'm okay with it. But again, like I said, I'm used to doing that as a commercial practitioner for a very long time. So here's really something important for buyers. Buyers, listen up. If you want to see a house on the MLS, you will need to sign a buyer's broker agreement before touring that property. So if you call me and say, hey, I'd like to see a house at 1 p.m. and it's 11, you just called me, you better be ready to sign an agreement within an hour or a half hour before the agent makes the appointment. Or somewhere in there. Obviously, life is different, right? Real time, life is different. But you need to be ready to sign that agreement. This is crucial, guys. The rules of the settlement and the lawsuit is clear. A written agreement with any potential buyer, customer, or client prior to looking at any property, that all buyers and NAR members who use the MLS, who are called participants, are now required to enter into a written agreement with that buyer before touring any property on the MLS. On the MLS. If it's a for sale by owner, that's obviously not on the MLS, and that's different. If it's a for sale by owner using the MLS, yes, you will have to sign the agreement, hands down, without a doubt. Any broker who doesn't do it is liable for a $1,000 fine immediate, no warning. And on top of that, a second violation or third violation means he loses his license and his realtor designation. If you're not a realtor, you're out of business. If you're not on the MLS, you're out of business. Case closed. That's it. So this is how important this is. I'm telling you this with passion because not to really scare anyone, but to let buyers and sellers know that this settlement is serious and it really puts a lot of pressure and changes the dynamic of how things were done prior to. Business will operate as usual. It's just that now we have to put these agreements and this paperwork in front of you. But if you have an aggressive agent that understands this, they will put in the proper paperwork. They will put in the terms within the contract to make sure that you are covered. And if you are not covered, it's real simple, buyers. Walk. That's it. Walk from the deal. It's just real estate. You don't fall in love with real estate. You don't fall in love with cars. It's a product. It's a step to get you up higher and higher and higher in your personal wealth in life. And of course, it gives you a place to live and some security, right? For you and your family. So it's dual purpose. It's also a forced savings account in your bank, right? Every time you make a payment, Some of it goes to the bank. The other part of equity goes right into your account. Money for you, money for them. So real estate is one of the strongest financial instruments you could ever get into. And for that reason, there's nothing to be scared about. It's just you have to have the right representative to help you figure out this situation. So that's the deal. This is a raw video that I'm making. I might make another version of this, but I'm going to post this as it is because I just don't care. And I want to get this information out because it is July 31st. And I think it's just really important for people to understand. I think realtors might get something out of this as well. And, if I missed something here, okay, I might have missed it. But when it comes to transaction engineering, I don't miss. And if there's something that I missed in explaining some of these documents, that could be the case. There are some documents that I'm not going to talk about because they're really not, this is a summary of them, and I'm really not going to touch upon it. That's something that I will talk to you about on a one-on-one if that's what you want me to do. Whether you're looking to sell a house with me or whether you're looking to have me help you buy, right? So the bottom line is if you're considering selling your home, if you're considering buying, it is crucial to understand these new NAR settlement rules and how they may impact your transaction and your timing to sell. This could drag out the timing to sell and even the values or the turnaround time, right? Prior to all this technology, Zillow, Realtor, these things happen fast. And because it happened fast, there was a whirlwind or a sense of urgency. I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe that sense of urgency is going to be tamped down because of this. And so appreciation and values might not appreciate as high. As a former real estate appraiser and a person who's still an appraiser, I'm not a licensed or certified appraiser anymore, but I do practice appraisals with the same concepts and rules that I learned as a licensed appraiser. I still practice appraisals for private individuals, and there's a possibility that this could slow appreciation rates down. We're already taking a hammering in the market due to rates and buyers sort of scared on the fence, so to speak. This could add to that. Maybe not. You never know. But look, guys. Reach out to me. Think of me here in Southwest Florida, Naples. I've been living here since I moved here in 1976. I went to school here, got in trouble here. I'm the real deal, man. I'm a real guy here. I got nothing to hide. It is what it is. And I've been protecting people and helping them in real estate here for a very long time. I'm going on 30 years. I'm a licensed broker, former licensed real estate appraiser, former licensed mortgage broker. All right. I still provide loans for investors and builders and commercial real estate. And I've been doing commercial real estate and doing development, land development, and working with developers also for about 15 years out of that 30 as well. So anyway, reach out to me, guys. If you want some information or guidance, together with the right broker, whether it's me, whether it's another person, we all together as the National Association of Realtors and the local Naples Area Board of Realtors, the Fort Myers Board of Realtors, I think we all can navigate these new things together. And it will filter out some of the softer realtors who don't know or don't have the experience. But with, if they talk to their brokers or other agents that are experienced like myself, we all cumulatively can navigate these changes together to ensure a successful and fair sale for both parties. Remember, real estate is about a win-win. And if you don't have a win-win, you don't have a deal. Sellers, keep this in mind. Successful real estate closings are based on win-win. So when you're thinking, hey, I don't want to pay a buyer's agent, think about what I said. Okay? And of course, you can do what you would want to do. That's fine. That's what this new NAR settlement is about, literally. So these changes are designed to bring down seller costs. That's the honest truth about that. and also protection to the real estate or the National Association of Realtors real estate market, in particularly due to copycat lawsuits. The loser here, and I said there was a loser, right, in my video. The loser is that the buyers are going to potentially lose if they don't have representation. It does offer less transparency for buyers and the buyer's agent. That's a fact. And because of that, it tilts the fairness in favor of the seller. Okay? It offers more risk to buyers, more red tape and paperwork to brokers like myself. Transaction fees might have to go up, right? There's more paperwork. There's now these police that's going to be looking at the paperwork. My brokerage office now has to hang on to these documents. So, prior to, we charge a transaction fee of $329. The reality is now we might have to charge $400 or maybe $450. I don't even know now, but there is an added cost related to the settlement. Paperwork, extra DocuSign, documentation, clouds, whatever technology is needed to get that paperwork to buyers fast, to get them to the house so that they can see the house fast. When a business needs things fast, there's costs related to that, because not fast doesn't equal good and good doesn't equal fast. But if you want both, you're going to have to pay for it, right? So anyway, look, guys, I'm here to help you every step of the way, whether you're a seller or you're a buyer. I'm here to help you. That's what I like to do. I feel good about it. I appreciate working with people and helping them. I don't know. It just gives me joy. I like commercial real estate better. It pays better. There's less emotion, but there is something satisfying when you're helping a residential buyer that doesn't know anything about residential real estate and then comes to you and says, look, I know nothing and I need your help, right? And then when they win and they win fairly, that is satisfying. And I don't care who you are. Even sellers find that satisfying when they're able to get a good buyer in their home, right? We all find that satisfying, I think. Good-natured, good-hearted people find that satisfying. So my name is Mike Rivera. I am here to help you. I hope this video helps you, whether you're an agent, a new agent, a buyer, or a seller. I'm here to make your real estate goal a reality. Your goals, my experience equals success. That's on my logo. If you look at my branding, and I mean that. That's serious. That's a serious thing. So I'm here to make your real estate goals a reality. And again, I'm Mike Rivera, your trusted real estate advisor for the last 30 years in Southwest Florida. And that's all I have to say. I'm signing off. I'm out. Bye.